This is the new Metro New York market.
Final speaker is well known to many in the food processing industry, Zak Romanoff from OMNI Food Sales. OMNI Food Sales services all departments: meat, deli, dairy, frozen, grocery, seafood, and food service. Client needs like projections, seasonal supply change, new product launches, competitive reviews, and industry management, inventory management are all part of their core functions. OMNI has built a reputation of being relied upon as a credible source of information from both principals and customers. Zak was exposed to the food industry from early on and grew up with a strong understanding of how it operates, from picking orders in the refrigerated warehouse to making deliveries as a truck driver's assistant to gathering with customers at events. Zak understands the priorities of principals and customers. Over many years, Zak observed firsthand from his father and other key mentors the importance of relationships. Zak graduated from the University of Connecticut and received his master's degree from Manhattanville College. After college, he worked his way up, learning all the angles of OMNI: retail, customer service, and account management. Zak now runs the day-to-day operations of OMNI. Prior to the presentation, I researched his company, and I love the fact that he doesn't consider himself a broker. He considers himself a brand advocate. So with that being said, let's welcome Zak Romanoff.
Well, Len, thank you so much. I really appreciate that introduction.
Good to finally meet you.
Likewise. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. And thank you to the New Jersey Food Processors Association and Len and all your staff and company behind you for this opportunity to speak with you today. I know we're at the home stretch. How's everybody doing out there? We doing all right? We're hanging in? It's Friday afternoon. Everybody good? All right, I'm not just talking professionally. How are we doing personally here? These have been trying times for the food industry. Everybody all right? There's been a lot of pressure and demand on our industry for the last year. It's required a lot. We're looking at heroes here. The consumer packaged goods, food and beverage industry, we've seen unprecedented demand. It's required a lot, and a lot of people have stepped up. So yes, thank you for that introduction. I'm glad everybody is well. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Zak Romanoff. I am the president of OMNI Food Sales. OMNI Food Sales is a family business. My father founded it 28 years ago off the heels of a meat distributor. And I grew up in the business, filled orders in the warehouse, in a refrigerated and frozen warehouse, delivered trucks, delivered to the 5 boroughs beyond Pennsylvania, upstate New York. I've done a lot. I've worked at an early age. I've been around golf outings, customer dinners, you name it. I've been around from a young age, so I've seen it all. Grew up in the business, came up full-time into OMNI, worked as a retail rep, had a territory of stores, learned the nuances of the business, how to sell products on shelves, the whole distribution network, how it works. Came into the office, learned the back end of the business, and then worked as a business manager and went through and presented items, lines to all 30 plus retailers in the Metro New York marketplace. Now, and worked my way up the rank over 12 years. Today I'm president, and the hardest part of my job, I could tell you, is generating new business. And at least 5 years ago, when I was trying to generate new business, awareness was an issue. So it was not only, getting in touch with companies, but then once I got them, convincing them to hire OMNI. That was the hardest part. And as I went on hundreds of interviews, and I was aggressive, I was relentless, and I would get meetings. We would travel to people's offices, they would come to our office. We'd have awesome meetings, they'd love everything I had to say. And then when it came down to the serious talks, when they heard I was a broker, the conversation got cold. People had cold feet and the walls went up. And I learned that there was this negative connotation with brokers. People had bad experiences with brokers. whether it was someone promised a lot and didn't do anything, or they just never heard from the broker, or the broker had large upfront costs and didn't return equivalent value on the backside. You know, there were people that had these experiences, and then they told their friends, and their friends had these expectations. So I was overcoming a lot. And one day I was in a meeting with some people that I really admired, and someone said, "Oh, that mother effing broker," referring to a broker with me in the room, knowing I was a broker. And that's when I just realized, I said, I need to do something to overcome this, because this is just too much. This negative connotation is too much, and it's not earned. You know, I'm different. My father and the mentors that I grew up in the business with, they trained me a different way. You know, the stories that I've heard about brokers, just, I wasn't allowed to be like that. You know, I had to do things perfectly, because as the boss's son, everyone automatically thinks you've got it on easy street and that you had it your whole life. They're surprised when the owner's son comes in and you're scrapping and you're hungry and you're taking things to the next level. So anyway, that was me. But that experience, the negative connotation, is what inspired me to create a video. It's called "What is the Network?" I was going to play a part for you there, something with that. Anyway, I hired a film crew, and I did something that brokers and generally people in the food industry don't do. And I had a cameraman follow me around for a couple days. We filmed a video of me going around to the different retailers in and around Metro New York. There's 30 of them. And I'm showing that Omni calls on all of these accounts, not just, you know, one or two, like some brokers do. So that video was really well done. Put it up on YouTube, sent it out to my network, and immediately Omni was hired by 3 new lines. People can look it up. So just so everyone knows, the video that I wanted to share is called Zak Romanoff Press Portfolio. If you Google it, that will come up. If you go to YouTube, it will come up. That is a basically highlight reel of my best speaking moments over the last several years. It includes clips from What is the Network, the video I was just telling you about, and some other things. So anyway, when you have a chance, check it out. But what I was saying about What is the Network video, I put that online, and within 3 months, some companies that I was negotiating with that were hesitant immediately hired me, and 2 other companies that I didn't know sought me out and hired me. So now all of a sudden, hey, how do I get new business? Well, guess what? I'm getting new business. Checked them, signed them up. This is awesome. We're expanding to new departments. But what happened, what was really cool, was things that I didn't expect to happen started to happen. So I get an invitation from the Korean government, and them say, "Hey, Zach, could you speak to a group of 50 of the largest food exporters from Korea about doing business in America, doing business in New York?" I say, "Sure." So I go to this swanky hotel building. It was right around Labor Day. It was hot. It was the summertime. Down in Soho, top floor of a beautiful building overlooking the Manhattan skyline, all the beautiful skyscrapers. And it's me giving a speech to 50 of the largest food exporters. The excitement was there. The light bulb went on. I felt electrified, energy. And I had a PowerPoint presentation. I didn't look at it once. I didn't need to. I was speaking from the heart, from up top. There was no need to look back, but I was so passionate. I had met at the intersection of passion and purpose. And that's when I stumbled upon, yes, I was trying to get new business, and making the video What is the Network was hard. But when I got on stage and people were listening and I was sharing information, I realized this is what I really love to do. Like things like this today, I genuinely love connecting with other people, sharing things about me, learning things about others. It's very interesting to me. It comes naturally to me. And it also just, it leads to a lot of new opportunities. So I gave that talk. It was received really well. Virtually every company at that event wanted to sign with Omni, and it led to new opportunities. I got to travel to new places. It was all from invites from this event. Got to work with some new brands, and generally things that I didn't think I was going to get, they came to me. And again, I was so excited. I was so passionate. I loved being up there on the stage. A whole year goes by. not one invitation from anybody else to speak again. And I get a general request from iHeartRadio. Zach, we've seen your video. We've seen, your talk at the Korean Food Fair. Why don't you come down? I get the grand tour at iHeartRadio. People that I love on the radio, like Shelly Sonstein, 103.5, Elvis Duran, Z100, The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne, DJ Envy. They're all there recording these things in person. I'm getting a tour in the studio, and they're all looking at me like, who is this guy? The suits were walking around, and they wanted me to produce branded content together on their stations, on Z100 and all these stations. I had known this, but now it is occurring to me that there's a real shortage of information in this industry. The food industry, agriculture, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And not only is there a shortage of information out there, in addition to the shortage, there's also a lot of bad information out there. There's people spreading rumors. Sometimes it's just the guy that talks to someone last has the most influence on a person. So I'm learning that there's this hunger for knowledge about the food industry, and everything that I learned as a kid and working up all these different positions at OMNI Food Sales, and I had some great mentors along the way, I'm just putting out what is natural to me. And I'm finding that there is a big demand for it. So I continuously begin to post regular updates on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, all right? In addition to posting the videos on YouTube. And it could be anything from showing a day of the life of me in the food industry, from a beautiful white tablecloth presentation that I had made, to me lugging around a pallet of samples that I'm going to a meeting for, to me going through the snow in a meeting after getting canceled on 2 times, going for the 3rd time. Just general things showing the mindset and the strategy needed to be a successful salesperson. I put these things out and I start to develop a following. And it's not people that I expected. There's new people that I didn't know that are liking, that are following, that are sending me these notes and comments of encouragement, saying, hey, I really like what you're doing, keep going. So I'm like, okay. But all the while, I got to be careful. Don't give away too much, because you can't give away proprietary information. Business dealings, that's sensitive information. You can't let that get out. Competitors can see it. Just if it gets in the wrong hands, in general, it could be bad. But I also recorded a few videos where I interviewed a few entrepreneur friends of mine in the food and beverage industry, people that founded their own companies, that were not household names like Goldfish yet, but that had started companies and were on their journey. So I put this all on the YouTube page. And by the way, you could check out all these videos. They're still up. If you check out OMNI Food Sales YouTube page, we've got about 25 videos there. You could see every one. I've left all of them up. And I just did a steady progression. I didn't post every week. I didn't have a schedule. But when something was relevant, I said, okay, I'm going to post. And I just steadily added to the fire. So back when I filmed What is the Network, the video, the people around me were saying, Zach, you're good at this. You need to start a podcast. But I wasn't ready. And I had to run Omni. My father's team had largely retired and moved on. I had to restaff the company. I had to replace revenue. I had new people coming on. I had to train. We had new lines that came on that we had to get used to. I wasn't ready for that. 2 years later, I was ready. And I said, now I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a podcast. And the podcast, I called it The Brand Advocate. And a lot of people may be thinking, what's a brand advocate? And Len mentioned he likes that I refer to myself as a brand advocate. Thank you, Len. I'm glad that you like it. It comes back to that negative stigma that I told you about, that I felt and heard in meetings where people were referring to brokers as evil, as a necessary evil that you needed. And I thought, broker just seems like a generic term. We all love terms. They're easy for us to make things understandable. But I thought about broker. And what are the other brokers? There's stockbrokers, there's mortgage brokers. Well, hold up. Stockbrokers and mortgage brokers, these are singular one-time transactions that one person brings 2 parties together, they make a deal, and then you largely don't need that person ever again. You stay on good terms in case you want them, but the work is done. A food broker is not like that at all, not even in the slightest. We are setting up deals every day, and even if you have a 95% ACV and your business is up 200%, competitive issues, market issues, whatever, you could be discontinued tomorrow. Political reasons, You need someone that is advocating for that space on the case every single day. And that's what Omni does. You know, Omni has represented the same brands for some of them over 20 years, some of them 10 years, and we've got new ones now. That's what we are. So I said, it's not fair to refer to us as brokers because I'm not brokering any one-time deals. I don't broker a deal and then go away. We've got to fight to grow that every single day. So that's where Brand Advocate was birthed. And I explained that, I put that out, and that was also received very well. People within the industry started reaching out saying, you know what, you were right. That is a better term. And they liked it. So I put the podcast out. I explained my history. I explained the meaning of Brand Advocate. And then the invitations started to flow. First, a delegation from the UK at the Fancy Food Show at Santander Bank in New York City. Again, the top floor. This was the boardroom. I like being in the boardroom in the bank. It's very nice. But I love speaking there. The electric feeling was there again. Again, didn't need to look at my PowerPoint once, just speaking from the heart to fellow salespeople, to fellow operations people. We all struggle. You know, being in sales and operations is really difficult. There's pressure. And I just spoke from the heart. That went really well. Again, had a choice to work with every company that was there. And my network started to grow through all this. You know, on LinkedIn and other places now, there's people that want to work at Omni and people that maybe I didn't think I had a chance to get before. I'm realizing I have a chance to get them now. They're reaching out. They're saying, hey, I'm available. Let's talk. And I'm like, man, thank goodness I put myself out there because your team is the most important thing. No matter how good one person is, everything I'm talking about with social media, it just brings people in. It doesn't replace your core business. It just shines a light on your business. If you don't have good people to execute in the bunkers day in and day out, all the marketing in the world goes for nothing. So anyway, the invites continue. I was a panelist at the Markham Food and Beverage Summit, again, in New York City with industry peers, now, again, business owners, and, you know, really, really exciting to be on the stage and talking about today's issues. Shortly after that, invitation to the ROI New Jersey Food and Tech Summit. That was in New Jersey. Now that one, I literally saw my competitors walk in the room, and in the audience of a few hundred people are direct competitors of mine sitting at the table. You know, they're trying to get my lines. I'm trying to get their lines. So how do you balance? How do you be exciting, energizing, passionate, and provide value while not giving too much away to your competitor right there? And the way that I handle that is, you want to go out and you want to do what I'm doing, go ahead and do it. Go ahead, because most people won't do it. So I put myself out there. I gave the value. Of course, don't give away anything proprietary, but my innermost thoughts and feelings, I shared them. Where the industry's going, I shared them. And it paid off because you never know who's watching. And someone watched that talk that I had never met before and shared my information with a professor at St. Joe's University. We all know St. Joe's is like the Harvard of the food industry. And that professor reached out and said, Zach, can you teach a class on brand advocacy to my class? I said, sure. His class just happened to be the St. Joe's University Executive MBA Food Marketing Capstone course. So I go down to Philly, and now I'm talking about brand advocacy to executives from the largest food companies from across the country. Again, more networking, and again, this was not something I would have expected to achieve. Again, more business opportunities are coming, my network grows. More opportunity for people to work with Omni, more brands that want to work with Omni, and just general, my reputation in the industry for providing value is growing. So we all know St. Joe's, that's where, you know, it's a pipeline of talent, and we know that leaders from retailers and manufacturers send their top leadership there, you know, for higher education. So I had that. Then a few months later, the New Jersey Food Processors Association sponsored a panel called Managing the Trends in Emerging Markets During COVID-19. That was moderated by Linda Doherty, president of the New Jersey Food Council. I was there with the senior buyer from Whole Foods, another food company executive. Again, I'm networking with all these people, and I'm just talking about COVID. What a firestorm we've all dealt with, all right? Got to speak about all that. You know, and I talked about how Omni handled it. We handled it with patience, understanding, communication, and follow-up. And Omni's team did a knockout job. I mean, there were situations where we secured all the business, but I'll get into that later, a little bit on the sales part later. So after that, I received an invite to be a panelist at the Food Marketing Institute, State of the Meat Industry, along with the senior executive from one of the largest poultry companies in the world, also Anna Marie Roderink from 210 Analytics. She produces the Power of Meat report that gets presented at the AMI every year. Yeah, and I'm meeting with these people. They're asking how I can help them, how they can help me, etc. And more opportunities continue to come. And then months after that, my alma mater, UConn, asked me to teach a master's on branding and marketing. This was a home run for me, my undergrad, getting to speak to people that were in my shoes years ago, talk about working in a family business, etc. So through all these events, my heart is full. Getting to speak at St. Joe's, UConn, helping students, professionals, and again, connecting with people, it gives me so much joy and pleasure. Not only is Omni turning down business every single day, but I love this. I really love what I'm doing. And it's a great outlet for me. Working in the trenches every day is really hard. Dealing with the stresses of selling and reaching sales goals is really difficult. So I'm really happy to where things are right now. And all the while this was all going on, Omni's been growing. I was investing in retail people, always going back to the basics. Even before the pandemic, I had realized the industry was changing and there was a need for more retail people, and not just retail people, because there are national brokerages that have 1 million retail people. But I don't mean minimum wage people. I mean people that know the industry, that could speak knowledgeably, that could do advanced selling in the stores. And the older generation was a little bit more reliant on relationships at headquarters. I had seen this trend, was already investing that way, and COVID really multiplied those efforts. But I'll explain that as we go down the line. But we are talking about marketing here. I want to give you the story so you can see how I got to where I am right now. And I want to give you some tips for marketing yourself. Because no matter what industry you're in, we are all in sales. So let me give you the tips that I've learned from the last 5 years of posting. You have to start somewhere. Start with getting one like, all right? You are running your own race. Don't worry about Kylie Jenner. Don't worry about the people that get 1 million likes for posting a picture of them in a swimsuit. You will never compete with that. When I started posting, I literally said, I'm going to go for the narrow segment of the food industry, specifically buyers and the VPs from food companies that I'm trying to get that can hire me. Do you know what a small segment of society that is? So I would post on channels and my friends would be like, what the heck is Zach doing? And there wouldn't be a lot of likes. There wouldn't be a lot of comments. I didn't worry about that. I said, am I gonna get my message across into the desk, into the office of the person that can hire Omni? That's all I thought about, all right? So if you get one like, think about that. People's days are really busy. If you get one like, that's something. You should be proud of yourself for that. And over time, you look to build. So if you're going 6-8 months, you're still at one like, then you need to recalibrate. Are you giving enough? Are you giving enough value out there? You need to think about that. You've got to give what you expect to receive. You can't be the guy that only posts his own stuff and doesn't like and comment or share with other people. If you notice other people are doing a good job, like what they're doing, share it, comment, let them know. Build a community, be part of that, because people want to know what's going on. So now that you know this, you're ready to post. Ready to post. Rule number 1, provide value. Write that down. If you take anything away from today's talk, rule number 1 is provide value, right? Before I post every single time, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, and today, I stop and I ask myself, does this position Zak Romanoff as an expert in the food industry? And I ask myself that every single time. You want people to take some things away that can help their lives later on. Gems. There's so much noise today, all right? There's so many podcasts and things. I can't keep up with the people that I like to follow because I just don't have enough. It's impossible. to follow and stay up on everyone's posts, you can't post just to post. No post is better than a weak post, or what I call a fast food post. A fast food post, what is it? It looks good, but then you flick right through and you never remember what it was. It didn't give your body any nourishment, anything to take from it, all right? You've got to maintain a reputation for quality. Another tip, don't be afraid to be vulnerable, especially for the men out there, because in society in general, especially the food industry, I think it's a little bit, women have an easier time being vulnerable. For men, it's harder for us to be vulnerable. There's just this old mantra that the man has to be rock solid and 100 miles an hour every single day. And if you're not, then you're off your game. And that's just simply not true. Most of my best interactions with people have been on vulnerable posts, sharing things that were in my head that I wasn't sure if I should share. Also remember, don't give away too much. Posting is meant to bring people towards you and think that they like you. It's not meant to give away everything that you do. You want to leave something for later. This one's also very important. A lot of people watch and don't interact. Don't be discouraged. Even today, and I've spoken at a dozen events, I get the analytics from my posts, and I can see there's hundreds and thousands of people watching the posts, and I may get only a handful of likes and comments. And I would get discouraged because I think, oh man, this post was awesome. I just put I've never seen anything like this. Man, this is groundbreaking. People are gonna love this. I can't wait to get it online. And I wouldn't get the response that I thought I was gonna get. And then I'd be in the supermarket or I'd be in a lobby and someone would come up to me and say, hey, Zach, I saw your post. You crushed that speech. That was awesome. And it was in interactions like this that I learned you are affecting people whether they tell you or not. So keep going with it. Keep sharing those things out there. Unless someone tells you, hey, that wasn't good, and you hear it from your trusted network of friends and family and colleagues, keep going with it. Not everyone will be your fan. You know, I had people that were in my circle that once I started posting and got an elevated image in my industry, they couldn't go on that journey with me for whatever personal reasons. There's a lot of dream killers out there. Not everyone could be happy for someone that's putting themselves out there and then reaping the rewards of that. But also be open that new people will come into your life that do support what you're doing, and you may not have expected that, and you may not have known them as long as you've known other people. You've got to be fluid enough to let some people go and then welcome new people in. Just the same. Don't be prejudiced. And you know, that's happened a lot. My competitors watch, like I said, they're at the events that I went to, they watch everything online. That's okay. You know, imitation is a form of flattery. Go ahead, I dare you to do what I'm doing. The Lighthouse Theory. So I noticed that as time went on, I would get it stuck in my head that I needed to work with these 3 brands. And I would work day and night to go after the same 3 brands. And guess what? Sometimes it happened, but sometimes it didn't, no matter what I did. But what I learned as I started to post and market myself as an expert in the food industry, I was creating something. And let me ask a question to everybody here. What is the purpose of a lighthouse? Does anybody know? Can anybody tell me? Please unmute yourself and tell me.
So people could see you.
So people can see you, right? So ships that are out at sea that are lost can know how to get home safely, right?
It's a beacon.
That's right. A lighthouse is saving people because people want to get home. They don't know how to get there. What I started to do, I was acting as a lighthouse and I didn't even know it, but I learned it when other brands became to get attracted to me because of the things I was putting out there. And the brands that I thought I need to get, and I started hammering away and gave them all my time, maybe that didn't happen, but other opportunities, and in some cases, opportunities that were bigger or just as big as what I thought I was missing, they came to me on their own. And that is the beauty of marketing yourself online. There are so many companies out there that need a new VP of sales, that need a new regional, that need a new director, that need a new internal operations person and they don't know where to find it. You put a thing on Indeed, you get 100 responses back. How do you know who is who? How do you know who's good and who's a fake? You've got to put yourself out there to be found. And that's why everybody on this call can take elements of this talk and apply it to yourself. Put yourself out there to be found. There are people out there who need every person on this call. They may just not know who you are or where you are. Increase your elevation so that you can be found. That's a big deal. So the next stage of my personal marketing and branding, you could see this background behind me, the new brand advocate logo. All right, I've spent some time on it. You see a shirt with one that I'm wearing. It says food broker with a line through it and brand advocate, because I want everybody to know I'm not part of the junk that people refer to brokers as. I'm a brand advocate. I'm a killer. I'm a dog. I'm aggressive. I'm relentless. I will fight every day for every single case of business. There's no opportunity that I will leave on the table. I will get everything. That's how I was raised. That's my nature. That's my mentality. And that's the nature of everybody at OMNI Food Sales. So that's the first shirt that is coming out. You'll see another one that says, I don't need perfect, I just need possible. And that's because, listen, we work in sales. It's not gonna be laid up for you. You're gonna have mixed variables that you're gonna have to bring together. So if 6 things are right and 2 things are wrong, you may have to go through all 8 things. You do them. But as long as you know, if you get all these things right, it is possible, then that means it's worth spending our time on. That's that one. Not all days are created equal. You know, this is against, I don't like a lot of the mantras that are out there about hustle 24/7 and, you know, kill, kill, kill and 100 to nothing. That's not for me. I'm here to tell you, not all days are created equal. There will be a period of time, it may be 3 weeks, where you're up early, you're up late, you're not sleeping, but you just gotta do it because the ebbs and the flows of the business demand that. Well, you step up and you do that because not all days are created equal. Don't complain, rise to the occasion, get it done. And then there are periods of time, it could be 6 months, where that pressure's not there and you learn to catch your breath during that time. But if you're on all the time and the same hustle mentality every day, you're gonna burn out or you're gonna burn out the people around you. So that's that one. And my favorite, my own biggest advocate, quite simple, it's you gotta show love. Show love for yourself because the demands of life are growing every day, professionally, personally, the effects of COVID, hobbies, keeping our health, being social. If you don't put your hand up and do things for yourself, you could wind up just pouring yourself out for everybody else and not taking care of yourself. And now during COVID with quarantine especially, it's really important to do. So I'm really excited about this line, these shirts. They're gonna be all for sale. I've trademarked this logo. They're gonna be on the OMNI website. My team's gonna get copies of all these. They're gonna get to wear them every day during work. And I want people to come to our website and see what we're all about. It's about giving people something that they can feel good about, and then also raising the image of OMNI Food Sales. So next, I want to talk about sales during the pandemic. We know I got a question, question for everybody here. And if you know the answer, unmute yourself and answer it. Pre-pandemic, for every dollar that was spent in America for food, how is that dollar split between supermarkets and food service? Anybody know?
Zach, what do you mean food service? You mean restaurants, fast food, stuff like that?
Yep, restaurants, fast food, stadiums, clubs, anything that's not supermarket. Every dollar, how is that dollar split pre-pandemic?
Pre-pandemic, probably 40% grocery, 60% food safety or food service.
It's pretty close. Any other guesses?
I'd say it's more like 50-50.
Man, bingo. Who is that? Diane, oh, Diane, we know each other. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Good afternoon. It was split 50-50. And then virtually overnight, it split to roughly 90-10 or 75-25 or somewhere in the middle, especially in my part of the country, New York, New Jersey, we're all from the Northeast here. This is the most ethnically diverse part of the country. This was ground zero of the pandemic when it broke. Everything was densely populated. Everything was closed immediately. The retail food service, the supermarket industry wasn't built to handle that much demand. So there was a lot that came at us. And I'll tell you what, pressure breaks rocks and make diamonds. And that's what happened. The companies with strong leadership, executives at the top, and I'm talking all the way down to the line workers that are packing the product in the plant. I think what we all learned in COVID is how reliant we are on the minimum wage workers that are packing the product in the plant. Every company was tested. And if you had a scale of 1 of a company that couldn't handle the increased demand at all, to a 5, which meant they could handle increased demand, but not all the time, maybe every other week, to 10 being you could supply every case of incremental product, mind you, unprecedented weeks from the last year. Omni represented companies that were every number from 0 to 10. Think about that. And we represent brands that are traded on the S&P 500. We represent companies that are large, family owned, and everything in between. What does that tell you? It was a totally fluid situation. We needed to have great communication on our team, because all of a sudden you didn't have a good relationship. Business was out the door. Trucks couldn't get received. Manufacturers were being turned off. Forget new items. The whole way that new items were being reviewed and rolled out to stores, it was gone, because everything was about the F word, fulfillment, keeping stores full with pandemic buying, with panic buying, with rumors of shortages. People didn't come to work. That's what it was all about. So for Omni, we've always had great relationships with our buyers. And like I told you, even before COVID, I had felt the winds blowing. You need to have people on the street. So I was investing hard on retail people, and we had a lot. Then COVID came, and the brands that thought that, well, I don't need a broker, or I've got one person, that's fine. When all of a sudden a buyer wasn't communicating to stores and they weren't making sure the planogram was matched, people were watching their ACVs disappear. And the role of a field team was multiplied overnight. And Omni was sought out because Omni's team is phenomenal. Omni's team has former meat directors, meat supervisors, buyers, regional sales managers, supervisors from other brokers. Like, we have an all-star team, no joke, hands down. I've never been around such a talented team than I have around me right now. It is a blessing and a joy to work with the people that I work with right now. Without being asked, people on this team work nights, weekends, without me even knowing it. I hear about it from others. They just do it because it's the right thing to do. What I've learned is invest in your people. Every dollar I've ever spent on people has been a positive ROI. And I'm telling you, you just continually increase the size of the pie. I just want to say another thing, about marketing yourself is mental health. For me, posting and speaking, this is therapeutic. This is an outlet. But I think what we all learned about COVID is mental health. We all should be talking about that. Even before COVID, I was concerned about the mental well-being of my employees. But now, with people on lockdown and quarantine and not being able to see the people they want to see, not being able to meet new people, maybe stuck in situations that aren't comfortable. We all saw the shootings. Like, this is a real thing. Like it's not, like, this should not be taboo anymore. Like, we should be talking. So I had a talk with my employees not too long ago where I laid out and I said, hey, if you are feeling burnout, take time off. I don't want you running yourself into the ground. And I want you to know these are all the free services available to you, offered by the state, counseling services. These are the ones that are covered under our insurance plan. And here are options available to you if you want to use Talkspace or Calm or another app that's convenient for you. Because there are more vehicles available to people to help with mental health, and people are not taking advantage of them. So I talked about that. I see a message came through on the text. Is the future of new items to make them not initially available in store, offer online only to measure demand? That's really interesting. But I don't think that's the future, because the overall demand is still not there. It's growing right now because of the pandemic, but overwhelmingly, everything is still physically store-based. The majority is. So if you put something online, you know, I think the redemption rate will be smaller than if you put something in store. Again, people still want to touch. Another question is, will the weekly circular as we know it be phased out in favor of a 3-day weekend ad? I know that the majority of sales are done on the weekend, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the week, but just because of logistics, we're talking about food with short shelf life. So I think it's really hard to put a few items on sale for 3 days just because of the labor, just because you need someone to touch every product in every case to influence that. So I'm not sure that that is very feasible right now, but with technology, it could be. Let's see, got another question here. What will be the role of robotics and automation in the stocking, order picking, and packing function? This is big. There's a company called Ocado that's doing work with Kroger, and there's other similar companies that are basically trying to solve the question. Did you know that roughly 80% of all retailers in the country can't tell you what's on the shelves in their stores right now? They can tell you what's authorized, but they can't tell you what's physically on the case. Like if a wrong item is in a wrong place or if it's blank, they can't tell you. That technology is not there. That's the big $1 million question. We're hearing about fulfillment sites right now and order online sites and all that, but I'm talking about the store is still the predominant method of shopping, and that's where people go to get their groceries. Buyers still don't know what's on the shelf, so that's a problem that needs to be solved. With recent news regarding supply chain issues, what's the best way for manufacturers to maintain value and inventory at the same time, all while trying to remain profitable? Well, this has been a challenge for everybody, because how do you forecast properly with such heightened demand? That's a hard question for everybody. And again, you just have to be fluid. You have to make sure you have enough. You can't short your customers. So you may just have to bite the bullet and have a little bit less profitability to make sure you can handle all those orders right now. With time's running out, I just want to mention everybody, Omni's had an awesome year and a half. We've been hired by 4 new brands, developed, mature brands. We've expanded into a new market. We now call on 500 new stores, Stop and Shop, Shaw's, Big Y, all in addition to the ShopRite, Wakefern, Key Foods, and all the independents in Metro New York. It's really exciting. I've added new people, had some great new people on the team, more people coming on board. So I'm really glad to share that news, and marketing has played a part in it, but again, it only brought a light to us. The key was Omni's performance was really strong. So I hope you took a lot from this session. Please reach out with any questions. My email is zak@omnifs.com. Reach out to me anytime. Thank you so much, everybody.
This is the new Metro New York market.